Are you finding great products out there? Yes. All right. That's wonderful. Well, you are in for a treat today. Who here loves Oprah? Oprah Magazine. Oh, the Oprah Magazine. It's a personal favorite of mine as well. And we are so lucky to have Adam Glassman here. He is a creative director for Oprah Magazine. And so he's going to share with you today a little bit of the secret sauce. What goes into Oprah's favorite finds. So really an amazing process and such a successful program. And I'm sure it's one of your personal favorites as well. Leading that conversation, we have Allison Zisko, Editor-in-Chief of HFN, another wonderful publication in our industry. So you're in for a real treat. But before I bring them on stage, I'd like to remind you there's also a wonderful product display on C11 where you can see some of the Oprah favorite finds, projects, and products firsthand while you're here. So don't miss that. It's on C11. So we hope you continue to have a great market. And I'd like to welcome up on the stage Adam Glassman and Allison Zisko.
Feels like we're on the Oprah set. I'm sitting on that. Okay. People showed up. I'm happy.
Thank you for showing
I always
up.
am ironic thinking, no one is going to show up. Because everyone is so busy looking for stuff, and especially this time of day, looking for food. So, couldn't be happy.
Well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here talking to you because over the years at HFN, so many home furnishings people have reached out to me and emailed me or called me and told me that they were on the O list and how excited they were about it and what it means to them and what it means to their company and their business going forward. So I was hoping we could talk a little bit about the whole process, how it came about, how you do your work, what it means for you, and then again we can talk about what it means for the industry. So tell us a little bit about how it got started and what do you think has made it become the iconic gift guide that it is?
Well, it started really on the Oprah show. Someone gave Oprah a pair of pajamas from a company called Karen Newberger, and she loved them because truthfully Oprah could wear pajamas all day long, and if she never had to get dressed, that would be her thing. And she's like, I love these pajamas. I want everyone to have them. So she just gave them out to everyone in the audience. Literally one day I see some heads shaking because some people probably remember that show. So there's probably a lot of Oprah babies in this room. And she gave them away and people went crazy for that. And then one of the executive producers had this idea, well, what if we do a whole show of giving stuff away? So it really started there on the Oprah show, the whole notion, with a pair of pajamas. And it has morphed into the beast that it really is, and even like Saturday Night Live has done very hilarious skits on it. Because it was, when she gives things away, especially on the television show, people were surprised. They just thought they were coming for, a lovely hour talk conversation on teachers or saving the children of some part of the world, and then next thing you know, the curtain opens up and it's like favorite things, and heads explode. So on Saturday Night Live, they had like literally heads exploding, turkeys coming from all over the place. But they would, on the television show, when there was the show, they actually did have paramedics in the back room because people would start to hypervent. Yeah. Well, and then the show, when Oprah retired from the show, after 25 years, the magazine took over favorite things. And when the magazine was launched, Oprah always wanted to have dedicated pages monthly called the O list, which are her personal things.
And then at the end of the year, you have
the mother of all others.
Mega list.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you go about compiling this. When do you start? How do you find the products? What are you looking for when you're at markets? I know you go to all the markets.
We go to all the markets, and I find the markets most beneficial really for us because you can see everything and at all price points in all categories.
Especially
But
here at this market.
especially this market. This is our first time covering the Vegas market for the magazine, and we found a lot of really great things in Building C. So we were happy to be here. But we look year-round. I will say we're always looking because we have the monthly pages.
Sure.
But then there are certain things that bubble to the top. We're like, do we want to put this in July or should we save it for Christmas? So then we just sort of throw those things in a file on the side, and we're really always looking. And part of the beauty of the list is also that we work with vendors to create special pieces. So that takes some time too.
Do you mean like exclusive pieces?
Exclusive pieces or exclusive packaging, or like many times we see things that it's a germ of a fabulous idea.
So you work
But
with them?
we work with them to sort of bring it to Oprah standards, so to speak.
Can you give an example of something?
Well, like packaging is very important for us, I will say. Like many years ago at the Atlanta Mart, there was this caramel company called Annie's Caramels that were delicious. But it was like two kids in a teeny tiny booth with some caramels in a bowl. And we're like, well, they're very good, but it's not exactly a gift. And so we casually said, well, would you consider doing a box? Have you ever done a box? And they're looking at us like, no, we never thought of a box. Okay, well, what about a gift? And then they then realized who we were. And so we worked out a very beautiful box. And then, of course, it became a favorite thing because for Oprah, it's all about presentation. The item itself has to be fantastic, but it's also about presentation. So their box, and then that sort of kicked it off. And then, of course, after the fact, we're like, that's such a good idea. We're going to do this all the time.
So when I work a show, I do a balance of appointments and free walking, and if I can free walk, I'll just go up and down the aisles and look. And my goal is to always find you because I know too. But I think you work the shows in a different way, and you may be looking for things. You're looking through Oprah's eyes. So tell me, how do you look? How do you work a show? And what are you looking for? Like what's that element, that magic element that says, oh, this could be something?
Well, we freestyle when we work a show. We don't do appointments, first of all. And everyone and their cousin is constantly emailing, wanting to make appointments. But it's very hard to keep an appointment, quite frankly. So we enjoy walking the hallways, and we walk every hallway, every building, every corner, because I'm always looking for that, that diamond in the rough, so to speak. And sometimes there are new vendors who are stuck in a spot, and we discussed this last night, that no one will go see. So I like to look in every nook and
Because you
cranny.
just never know what you're going to find.
You never know what you're going to find.
It's always that down the corner,
It's
around the
true.
corner.
And like we are hunters and gatherers of stuff. But everything is really through the prism of, will it bring joy to someone's life? Is it beautiful? Is it useful? The price has to be somewhat attainable, somewhat. It depends, because Oprah's philosophy is that everything should be a mix of high and low. And we're not always looking for what's hot, what's new. Obviously your magazine, you're obviously always presenting what is the newest and the greatest. We like it, but it doesn't have to be that. It has to really be something that Oprah personally would buy and give to someone else, use herself, eat, or want to have in her life. So that's sort of the prism that we're always looking for.
That's sort of the criteria.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this last night, but Oprah actually does try out all these products.
Yes.
Right? She wears pajamas, she eats the candy, she uses pajamas.
Every bit of it. And now I'm with the magazine for 19 years, and we're about to celebrate 20 years of the magazine. And we've had various different ways of doing it. In the beginning, she would come to the office, and we had like rooms filled with stuff, and it was yes, no, yes, no. Then that became a little tedious. Then I was like, okay, I'll bring it to you. That was unrealistic, even though I did do that. Then we tried the photographs back and forth, and now it's a sort of combination of Skype and FaceTime, and she sends us stuff, and we send her things, because she also gets many gifts. So she'll be like, I remember once it was a fabulous scarf. She's like, Maria Shriver just gave me this scarf. Let's do it on the O-list. I'm like, perfect. So it's fun things like that. Yeah.
And so she's personally looks at each product and she writes the blurbs or contributes to the blurbs.
She contributes to the blurbs, she writes the blurbs, the caption, so to speak, because they are her personal picks. So she has to feel passionate about it. And I think that is really why it's been so successful still through all these years. And it is a sort of must-have gift guide and resource because it authentically represents who she is and what she likes.
It has that automatic credibility. Mm-hmm. Has she ever said no? I'm sure she said no.
Yes.
Was there a product that you just absolutely loved and she just couldn't get into?
Oh yes, many products. Rayanne, who works with me back here, she's laughing, I'm sure, right now. Because there are many times where like, she's gonna love this, and then we show it to her, she's like, nope. I'm like, really? I really thought you were gonna like that. I mean, after 19 years, you pretty much know something. She's like, nope. Because it's called O Magazine. Or G, or Gail King, or editor-at-large. She's like, but Oprah, everyone liked it. We really liked it. She goes, save it for your own magazine. So, but it's fun. You know, there's like it's funny banter. And then there are things that, you know, sometimes she surprises us and she likes. I'm like, really? You like that? Okay, fine. But that's what people respond to, the fact that it is, it's very real. I mean, it is very real.
It's genuine.
Yeah.
So tell us what happens after a product gets picked. How do you, I understand that you offer marketing support to companies that have made the list. Tell me what you offer them and how you support them and perhaps any advice you could give to people who have been selected.
Well, I'm going to start with the fact that since the last 5 years, we're now in our 5th year, we have been partnering with Amazon to help power the favorite things list. And that is a relationship we developed 5 years ago.
And you have your own homepage.
We have our own homepage and landing page and gateway, a lot of gateway on the Amazon site. And it has been remarkable. It's been remarkable because certainly, you know, we have like 2.7 million women buy O Magazine, but Amazon has hundreds of millions of people who are on their site daily around the world who perhaps don't buy the magazine. And so it has given such fabulous exposure to the vendors. And for us, it's really all about the vendors, our readers, / the consumer. So that's been a wonderful experience. However, not everyone that gets, that we pick has ever been on Amazon, or they've been afraid to be on Amazon, don't want to be on Amazon. So that is a whole process of onboarding that we work very closely with our Amazon people and the vendors. And we ask people really up front when we're considering people for favorite things. We do ask them now, will you consider selling through Amazon? Or are you already on Amazon?
Or are you capable of fulfilling?
Or are you really capable of fulfilling? You know, with Christmas especially, inventory is is a key thing. Because the last thing in the world we want to do for our readers, or even the vendors really, is for them to sell out in week 1. And that happens. And it's disappointing. And I always look at it that, you know, being in the magazine and being on this list is valuable real estate. And there are literally thousands of people that we look at, and anywhere from 85 to 100, depending on the year, make it. So if you are someone that makes a list, you have to really be able to fulfill the orders. So we work with them on that. We give some sense of statistics in terms of, well, in the past, soaps have done like this, or pajamas have done this, or pillows have done this. So we do work with them.
And give them all the feedback.
We give them all that kind of feedback, and we have them talk to an Amazon person. And we have dedicated Amazon people too. So anyone in this room that is scared of Amazon or have had bizarre experiences, which has happened, we have people that are dedicated just to favorite things during that selling period.
So in terms of the products that you've selected over the years, it's been almost 20 years and you've seen a lot of products. You've seen a wide range of products. Can you tell us how the list has evolved and changed over the years, or has it been pretty much the same?
I have to say, a lot of it is really pretty much the same. You know, like, we know Oprah loves a big tote, so there's always going to be some kind of tote, a big carry-all or something to that effect. We know there are certain food items that she really likes. I know that she likes, you know, even when it comes to, she loves bathing. She can never decide if she prefers bathing or sleeping, like which is her favorite thing. So PJs are always going to make it in. They always have to feel like a second skin, so that we're looking for the softest fabric out there. It has to have sizing from petite to plus and everything in between, because we are a magazine that caters to everybody. We are multi-generational, so we like to take that into consideration. So there are key things, but like soap, for example, I'll never forget, like the first year I was there, we showed her a bar of soap that looked very pretty. We all think it's a bar of soap. Is this a real bar of soap? Or is this something you get at a hotel? No, this is a bar of soap. I like a bar of soap. Come to my house, let me show you how I live. So, and that was very useful. But like, she likes a big bar of soap. She likes how it feels in her hand. So there are some regular things. And then through the years, as trends come and go, as her personal taste has changed, and her lifestyle has changed, there are some things sort of fall to the wayside, don't mean as much, and then there are new things that mean more to her.
And in terms of home furnishings or home decor, do you have some more examples of certain products that she's really attracted to?
Sheets and pillows. I will say, the sleep things, we're going back to the bedding kind of thing. For sure, towels. For sure, towels are fabulous. But like on the list, we're really not doing a lot of furniture per se. We're doing more sort of decorative items, vases that hold big bunches of flowers. Not a vase that holds just one beautiful tulip, but we all know what that look is. That is also not her look. Her look is abundant. So that is really our thing. It has to feel lush. It has to feel abundant. Colorful is always key. It has to jump off the page.
Can you give some more examples of products that have taken off that you feel that you've kind of built a brand for? We were talking about pajamas again the other day.
No, we were talking about pajamas, and in fact, there is a company, I don't know if they're here today in this room, that's showing here, called Cozy Earth, and I don't know how many people know
I
Cozy
just saw them
Earth.
this morning. I stopped.
They do the most fabulous bedding in the world.
It was beautiful.
They honestly do the most fabulous bedding in the world. I recommend everyone to just go touch it and feel it. I can't remember where they are.
They're in the pavilions.
No, you know where they are? They're in the pavilion.
They're in the pavilions.
They're in the
first
pavilion
row.
here.
Because I started there this morning and they had their oversized.
Yes. So their sheets are really fabulous. And so last year I said to them, well, would you consider pajamas? And I saw the light bulb go off, and then literally, and they are great. Within 6 weeks, we had a prototype of pajamas. And then I showed them the Oprah Truth, yes. So that is like one example. But, there's a foot cream called the Foot Nanny. Oprah has there is a fabulous woman who worked at Oprah's studio as the manicurist, because she had a spa at Harpo Studios for all the employees, because no one ever went home, I don't think, so there was a spa. And the manicurist there came up with a fabulous foot cream, and her name is Gloria Williams. It's called the Foot Nanny Foot Cream, and we launched her cream. There's also something called the Gratitude Glass Jar. Now, this is a very good example. I don't know how many people in this room know the Gratitude Glass Jar. You do, I see a few people there. We first met them in the New York Now, and she came, I think, from Australia, actually, and she was not a fabulous spot, kind of a crummy area, that most people don't even walk those halls. We did, and the moment we saw this, we're like, oh, this is a really good idea. We showed it to Oprah, and that was like sort of a brand new idea for us. And her business started that way. The list could go on, but I mean, well.
And the moral of the story is don't despair if you're in a more remote area of the show.
Don't despair because we will find you. We really will find you because, you know, we go through it.
So tell me a little bit about what your average day is like. Do you have an average day?
I don't personally have an average day because, you know, working on this list is really a part of my job. I'm the creative director of the magazine, which basically is conceiving and producing all the pages of the magazine. Everything from the cover, so anything to do with Oprah herself, all of these O-list pages, beauty, fashion, features. So that is a time-consuming, and it is the main bulk of my job. And anyone that knows about magazines, I'm working on the 3-month lead time, 3 to 4 month lead time. So I'm working on producing right now our May issue, but we're closing our April issue, and we're trying to plan other issues. So that's a big part of it. This gears up favorite things I will say, right, and probably about March is when we get really hairy, so that's a full-time gig for Rayanne especially, and Raina, because we are a small team, it's 3 of us really. And then I have a little side hustle where I do red carpet commentary for Extra TV. So this time we got very busy doing that too for award season. So I do not, my days vary, they vary. And that's why I probably am still doing it 19 years later.
Because every day is different and it just stays, keeps it fresh.
And I would say as a magazine, we like to think of the magazine as producing like a couture issue every month. Yes, there are features that are always in the issue, but like everything is rethought monthly, truly. Like, how are we going to present this? What is going to be the new take on this? So everyone at the magazine works very hard on trying to sort of rethink their pages.
Each and every time.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, but you know, magazines have undergone a lot of change. Ours has, your industry has. How do you keep a brand with a loyal following and keep your readers engaged as the industry goes through all these changes? And we know what changes. We're talking about the move to online and increased competition.
I think for us, it's been, you know, we launched 20 years ago. No one really knew what this magazine was going to be. They had an inkling that, okay, there are ladies out there who watch the Oprah show, so the magazine should be exactly like the Oprah show, and she's of a certain age. But publishers have these sort of ways of sort of pigeonholing their magazine. It really didn't turn out that way. What really turned out is that we became this lifestyle magazine that was multi-generational. So you, your daughter, your mother can read this magazine, and we really do have young women in their 20s that read it, up to whatever.
Their grandparents.
Their grandparents, truly. And still, to this day, we have equal amounts of women in all age groups that read this magazine. We're also a magazine that spans all demographics, all socioeconomic, all, very proud of our African American readership, our white readership, our Latino readership, our Asian readership. Most women's magazines for a very long time we cater to 18 and 25-year-old women. We're a magazine that's for young women straight out of college, for first jobs. O Magazine sort of broke that ceiling and spoke to everyone, and we still do. But to get back to really what your question is, I think digital has been very important for us. Social media has been really important for us. And then you start thinking about the magazine as in itself as the flagship. So it's like Bloomingdale's on 59th Street, but then there's all these other ways to shop at Bloomingdale's, so to speak, or to get information. So social media has been critical, really, for us, and everyone understands that, so I'm not saying it.
What do you like most about your job?
That it's never the same. But really, I think the thing that I'm most proud about is we know who our readers are. and we really are putting out products and pages and information for our readers. You know, I've worked in many other magazines, and we all have had these things where you go, oh, we know who they are. But the truth is, I never used to see people with other magazines I worked at. Here, I'm on the plane, and I'm sitting next to someone, and she's reading O Magazine. We're on the subway, you see O Magazine. I mean, 1 in 8 women read O Magazine. So we really do know who they are. We hear from them, and we listen to them. So that is something that we're very proud of. You know, like people will bring things in and present to us, and it's not about what I personally like and what I personally want in my home. It's really about, will it appeal to our readers?
So I think we can open up the floor to questions. If anyone has questions about
I love a good question.
the list,
Does anyone have a
about
question? Yes. How many people in this room have actually been in the magazine, their products? That I'd like to know. I see Merrimack back there, and the Pillow Bar. Does everyone know the Pillow Bar? Do you know Merrimack?
I know
We met in
a little.
Dallas originally. They're handmade pillows in Dallas, and they're beautiful, and they are luxurious, and they're gorgeous, and they're made in the USA. And she is a very good example of, like, she's used to dealing with interior designers. And then we featured her in the magazine, and I think she realized, oh, I could actually speak to consumers directly too. And then I've had her on The View and Good Morning America, and her entire, she's been able to expand her thought process for her business.
Thank you.
Would you like that I'm speaking for you there?
Yes?
So how influence our products,
How much does, when you're picking things, do you look for things that are sustainable or things that are packaged correctly to make sure that they're worthy age?
Certainly, over the last 5 years, we have been much more attuned to that, for sure. We love products that, the packaging is key, the beauty of it, but also the packaging of how it is packaged and what you can do with it after you open it up is important. Made in America is very important for us. We sometimes devote entire issues just to those causes. So there's always that. During Christmas, there is a big bulk of that, for sure.
Hi, Adam. I know that sleeping and bathing is really important to Oprah, but is there any health or wellness issue that she has that she's looking for products that maybe there is something that we should be thinking about?
Well, I think wellness is, as we know, a huge trend. It's beyond a trend, it's a lifestyle. I don't actually even really love that word wellness anymore, but we don't know what else really to call it. I think something that we are always discussing and writing is care for aging parents, aging family members, thinking about that. Wellness and caring for pets is always key. We could do issues just on dog products, and people will buy us. People will spend more money on their pets than usually themselves. I see a lot of heads that are nodding. So that, I think, is something. Yes, but we have to be very careful. We would like to vet things to a certain extent. We really don't want to just feature, when you're in the sort of health and wellness world, you have to be very careful because truthfully, everything that's in this magazine is an Oprah pick, and we don't want to put her in any kind of situation with things that perhaps are a little questionable.
That leads me to ask you about your take on all the CBD products that are out there.
Oh, you could, because I could open a CBD store because my house is, one side of the house is all candles, the other side is all CBD products. We're a believer in CBD, but it's now, we joked the other day where she's like, it's in shampoo and toothpaste now. Do we need that in shampoo and toothpaste? Probably not.
Yes.
I just wanted to
There have, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because we like to keep them secret.
Under wraps.
Under wraps.
You'll have to buy the December issue.
Yes, because even Rayanne laughs at me because I like to post and do my Insta stories. And she's like, don't post that. We like that. I go, but I want to post it. But we try not to do that because people do. Other editors, and we are competitive, yes, will try to get it from us before we do it.
Sure. We've got a couple of questions up here.
Hi, my name is Susan, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada, and I love the Oprah magazine. I can't promise I've seen every issue, but I wonder, would she ever dedicate an issue to interior design? I work as an art consultant. I work with a lot of the psychology and branding, how positive it can affect your life, how design actually influences 91% of our decisions, and how we feel in our homes and our lives. Do you think she would ever, and maybe I missed it, but would she ever dedicate the importance of what all these amazing professionals do to bring beauty and care and love and joy into lives and dark places where it's so needed?
Well, we have done it, and at one point we had a home magazine called O at Home for 5 years, and then a little or a big thing called the recession hit, and as you all know, suddenly there was no more advertising in the home arena, so we decided, okay, we're going to just sort of let that go to the side, and that is how we developed, that's really what we did in the home magazine. But since then, every few years we do a home special. Also, by the way, you should meet Barbara up here from Arizona because she designs homes with a holistic notion in mind. Wait, Barbara, we know each other, yes.
Connections happening here at Market, right? Here we go.
Hi, how important is Made in America when you find products?
It's important. We like it. I find it very important. But also Made in America is one of these kinds of things that's like, is it really made in America? Is it assembled in America? Is the material grown in America? So there are varying degrees of that, and we're open to all of it. But it is important. Our readers find it important, so do we.
Do you ever get product fatigue? Because I know we're scouring the markets and the buildings, and after a while, sometimes you're just exhausted from looking at product. Do you ever get product fatigue? And do you have any tips to share to not, and is there something that is that it factor that kind of snaps you out of it that you notice a new vendor?
Yes, we get product fatigue. Everyone in this room gets product fatigue. And that's part of the reason why we like to carve out as many days as possible in market, because we know that we will hit a wall at some point. Like just the other day at 4 o'clock, I literally looked at Ray and I said, I cannot look at another thing. I do not know what I'm looking at. And I know we're in a showroom that it means a lot to us and will be important, but my eyes are glazing over. So let's leave immediately.
Yeah, you never want to be, that puts the vendor in an unfair position.
Exactly.
When you start working.
Exactly, but we like to carve enough time out. That's, really it.
Hi, this has been awesome, by the way. Just a quick question. I think, right now you have, because of the magazine and because you have a very broad audience you described, I think you have sort of the grace of having to look at everything and not having to sort of narrow. But a lot of us have to sort of go into a market and curate. And I think whether it's as an artistic director or working on those favorite things, you're a curator at your core. What do you go into, how would you recommend any of us narrow going into market? Because like his last question, you're exposed to so much that sometimes you can just go blurry after aisle one. So what questions would you say you have to ask yourself when you're going in to help you focus on curating the right things?
Well, I think first you have to be very honest with who is your audience. Can she or he understand that product? So we always go back to, is this right for us? Is this right for Our Lady? So I think that is a key thing. I think you have to take yourself out of the equation, unless the store is all about you. And in some cases, that really does work in some retailers. And I think telling stories with product is key, and shaking it up with every month on the selling floor is key.
Do you visit retailers and just?
I do.
You do?
I do. I get a lot of inspiration, and we sometimes find products at retailers too. I mean, we're looking everywhere.
Everyone.
We really are looking everywhere. But there's a wonderful store in New York called Story. I don't know how many people know Story, or Rachel, who and her sister, who started it. But their whole thing was really more or less thinking like magazine editors and bringing that to life every 6 weeks in their store that changed their story. And Macy's ended up buying them, and now they do it in all Macy's, which is great because that experience and the idea of some experiential moment happening is, I think, something that attracts people these days. There's a fabulous store called Camp now that is devoted to children.
Yeah, it's a great
That again is like hard play and mostly shopping, but you don't even realize that you're shopping because your kids are playing and eating and doing.
But enter through the magic door.
Which is, I love the magic door. Yes.
One last question. Thanks.
Oh, we have a lot of hands here. We have to do more than one last question. Okay, pink sweater.
Okay, hi. I don't have a microphone, but I'm really loud.
We can hear you.
That's okay. So I have a boutique, but I also come from a charity space in Canada as well. And I'd like to chat with you about the engagement of cause marketing and how charities that align themselves with products and what models you think are working really well in that space. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I have to say, I think cause marketing, all of it is wonderful and great, but I do question, do the consumers care all the time? So I think in the beginning it was quite intriguing, and I think Tom's did it beautifully with a one-for-one for every shoe you bought. The shoe was donated to a child who didn't have shoes, and then, you know, like everything, people started copying that. I think it's important. I think, again, the product has to be beautiful first. It has to be something people want. It has to be something they covet that brings, you know, some sort of sense of excitement into their life. And then if it has a cause behind it, that's the icing on top, really. Because we've seen a lot of product that is very mission cause driven, and the missions are fantastic, but like, I'm not so sure I really like what you make. Truthfully, and I'm honest about it.
Hi, first of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for being so patient with the squawks of my baby. Thank you for making this safe space for us. Also, I'm so impressed by, Oprah has built this extraordinary empire, but it's really supported by so many people who are totally behind the scenes, partially behind the scenes, and so I just want to say congratulations on what you are all doing to make her dreams come true. And I also wanted to ask, you found a lot of success in your career, and I wonder, I think there are a lot of us in here who are in earlier stages or mid stages, and I'm wondering, what risks did you take to get where you are today?
What risks did I take? I mean, I think everyone has to be a risk taker to a certain extent. I left a very successful magazine originally to come to O, which was a risk to a certain extent because it was a new launch. So that was a risk. And I think, in a funny way, staying at a magazine for as long as I have is also a risk. But it's really my life. And again, I stay at this magazine for Oprah and for the reader. And I don't think of it as a job. I just think of it as part of my world, really.
What you do.
Yes.
Thank you.
The gentleman here.
You've got a product that is really ideal for the gift-giving season that you're almost targeting for. What would you say is the deadline, the time you want to be starting to submit and reach out and get opportunities for everyone like yourself? I'd
love people to start thinking around March. Truly. the people who started thinking in March. But, you know, there have been products we have chosen in August, true. We work on a 3 or 4 month lead time, so you always have to take that into consideration. And usually we are shooting all the product for the magazine right after Labor Day, so everything is selected before then. The Amazon component for Christmas especially, you know, that takes a while to onboard. The ability for vendors to produce enough inventory, you all need time, depending on where you manufacture. So, but we start in March. We commit to people in the summer, and under lock and key, so they're never allowed to tell anyone. We're very strict about that. And by the summer, we commit to people. Did that answer your question, Jose?
I was wondering if you use any trend forecasting tools, or is it all about what you find, you know, at market, or if they have a story or anything like that?
Not one trend forecasting tool do we use. No, not at all. I mean, I think they're very useful, and I think certainly like color of the year is a lovely thing and useful. But we're on the ground running, and we're sort of finding the trends on our own. People are pitching us via email. I think another way that I have found people on my team laughs at me when people DM me all the time on Instagram. Then I'm forwarding it to the girl who go, this is another Instagram person. Like, really? Why do you answer those Instagram? But I have found things. You never know where you're going to find things at all. But I think trend forecasting services work for certain people, but for us, we don't really need that. No. We're editors, so we are trained to find trends. I think that's our thing.
So 3 makes a trend?
Yes, 3 makes a trend, for sure. And also, you know what's interesting is that there are trends, then there are micro trends, and then everyone jumps on the bandwagon and copies those trends. And that's, I think, for me, where I'm always a little, personally, I'm like, oh, I'm over this trend. But then I have to step back and go, it is everywhere, and it's trickled down across the country, and it's available to everyone. So I think we probably still need to consider it. So, you know, like, the editor in me is like, oh, I'm happy I had found it 5 years ago, but now I'm a little bored of it. But at the same time, it's still playing out, and people still want it. Yeah.
So what is the difference between a fad and a trend? And I'm sure you're not interested in fads, or is that a hard question? We love you so much, we just want to make it easy.
I don't know the difference between a fad and a trend. I mean, are they not the similar thing? I mean, I think they are quite similar. Fads might last shorter amounts of time.
Yeah.
Trends last longer. Trends sometimes can become a classic, and they're no longer a trend, they're just part of the zeitgeist. Where fad really does come and go.
Well, yoga is an example of a trend, but it's been a trend for thousands of years. So, you know, like everyone thinks yoga is trendy, but...
I know they do think it's trendy, but I don't even think of it as a trend because it is a lifestyle, and
definitely...
people have been doing yoga. You know, the real intention of yoga was really to get your body open enough to sit for meditation. It was not so that you could figure out how to put your leg behind your ear, or sweat it out, or yoga for the oldies, or whatever all these things are. I mean, it is wonderful exercise, but the real intention behind yoga was to be able to get your body aligned and your spine wonderfully up and down so you could breathe and sit for meditation. So, I don't know why I just went on. That's all
I appreciate you did, because I think it goes from fad to trend to a lifestyle. So thanks.
What's the best way to submit something to you if you're not going to find it?
If you think we're not going to find the best way to submit it to us?
No, we think we have something that you people find easily, what's the best way to submit it to an idea?
Email, please, email us. We look at every email. We may not respond to every email, but we do look, I try to respond, but we don't always to everything. But if it's something we're interested in, we jump on, truly. We jump on. Yeah, some people use PR agents, which are useful. Some people just do it on their own. Some people just send in product. We get a lot of product, so it is hard to answer every single solitary person. But there are times that we have to have a real conversation with someone and say, are you really a business yet? I know this is an idea, and it might be a good idea, but are you just looking for us to put it in the magazine so that you can become a business, or are you really a business?
They have to be ready to go.
They have to be ready to go. Yeah. So we only have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. Do we have any other questions? Or we could break early, which people might want to do.
I have a funny question. Yes, I know the mic girl has a question. We were talking about fad or trend. How do you feel about scrunchies?
Okay, I grew up in the 80s, so I am a firm believer, and so the scrunchie was very big then for anyone who would love to remember the original round of scrunchies. But I also am someone who sort of thinks if you are old enough to have worn it the first go around, you might want to consider not trying it again. However, your daughters or granddaughters. But there are some very fun scrunchies out there. We met this gal who collects old Hermes scarves and makes really beautiful scrunchies with these Hermes scarves. Yeah. They are high-end scrunchies. She sells a ton of them. And then I found people who knocked her off for it. But
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you so much.